So I just wanted to give you like a little introduction about the book club, just so you kind of know what we're about, why we did it. So it's been a little over a year now, and the reason I kind of got it started was because the Black Lives Matter movement. We saw, you know, people out on the streets, just like kind of seems like a generational thing, right? There was a lot that happened last summer, and that's been going on. So I just kind of saw that. I was upset. I was out there doing my thing and protesting, and the way they came together, I always think, if Chicanos could come together like that, or
Mm,
if we weren't so divided, and if we knew our history better and our culture better, and I was like, man, what's a better way to do that than through books, discussing books and really,
mm.
kind of coming together on those topics. And so we started the book club, and went from like 20 people to now 2,000 people, and it's been really awesome. Um, People from all over the country. So that's just a little bit about the book club. And so we just finished your book, so it's real fresh on our mind. And so before I give your introduction here, I just wanted to let me just jump into the introduction real quick. So for those that don't know, and this is straight from your website, by the way. From 2014 to 2016, Luis served as the official poet laureate of LA. For Luis, poetry is soul talk, a prophetic act, a powerful means to enlarge one's presence in the world. Luis is also a novelist, memoirist, short story writer, children's book writer, essayist, as well as a sorry, I had to enter somebody, community and urban peace activist, mentor, healer, youth and arts advocate, husband, father, grandfather, and great grandfather. Dang. He has 16 books in all genres, including the best-selling memoir, Always Running, La Vida Loca, Gang Days in LA. And his latest memoir is the sequel, It Calls You Back, an odyssey through love, addiction, revolutions, and healing. His last poetry book is Borrowed Bones from Curbstone Books, Northwestern University Press. And in 2020, Seven Stories Press released his first book of essays, From Our Land to Our Land, Essays, Journeys, and Imaginings from a native Chicanx writer. Boom. We'll leave it right there. So just a little icebreaker that has nothing to do with anything.
Mhm.
What is your favorite movie? How about that? Just to get us going, get the blood going.
Well, that's easy for me, believe it or not. I was just watching it the other day, Blade Runner. There's something about Blade Runner that always intrigued me. I love Ridley Scott, his as a director. Almost all his movies, I watched them all. I'm into movies, as you can imagine. Growing up in LA, Hollywood, you can't help but be into it. The sad thing is our stories don't get told properly in Hollywood. You know what I mean? All these Mexicans, Central Americans, Chicanos are all over LA, and we get jumped over. We don't, our stories don't get told. But I love good movies, and Blade Runner to me is just powerful, special. It's just the way that it was done. Very poetic. You know what I mean? Just the whole idea of androids trying to live, you know, uh, I just think that almost makes me feel like it's all of us as marginalized people trying to survive and live.
Awesome, I love that. The human condition, right?
Hmm.
And then Ridley Scott, they're coming out with that new movie, right? I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah,
The Last Duel. That's gonna be
that's right.
awesome.
That's right.
Cool. All right, so we'll go ahead and jump into the questions. We have probably at least 10 questions, and all of the questioners are here right now, so I'm going to let them ask you. So our first question is coming from Miss Irma Cruz. It's all you, ma'am.
Thank you. Well, thank you for being here with us.
Yes, sorry it took so long.
Now, I had a question about, if you had a magic wand, and I think this is a combination from another member, but going back, say, 13-year-old boy, and to the present, what do you think, we as individuals, as a community, as families, what can we do? What advice would you give us to help our youth like today?
Well, I think one thing for me is that we got to recognize that all our kids got very particular geniuses. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
yeah, in my family, good working class Mexican family, but they all were patterned because of the way society is to work, to value work. If you don't work, no, it's not. You know, you don't got nothing. And I didn't mind working. I would start working. I was 9 years old, but I really had other dreams. I was put down for wanting to be an artist, wanting to do music, to become a writer. It was like, oh, pérdida de tiempo. Why do you do that? It wasn't because they're bad people. They're just working class Mexican migrants who all they know is the value of work and getting paid. And I get all that. It's just that I think we got to see our kids for being more than what society says they should be. All the Mexicans in LA at the time were working in the big industry, all the factories, the steel mills, the Ford plants, the tire companies, refineries. LA had, well, still is, but it was at the time the largest manufacturing center of the country, which is why a lot of Mexicans ended up there. And we were all East LA, South Central LA. We were all working in that big corridors of industry. But that's the only future we had. You know, the high schools were the best welding, the best auto shops, you know what I'm saying, the best garment industry. They had sewing machines in one high school and the whole floor, sewing machines preparing the girls to work in the garment industry.
Wow.
That's the world that I grew up in, and I didn't like people molding me. And so I rebelled against it. I think what we got to do is see our young people for their own gifts, their own passions, what they want to do, and help them try to achieve those dreams.
Well, thank you so much. So it's changing the mentality. Thank you so much.
Awesome. That was a great answer. So number 2, next question is coming from Mr. Ismael Robles Peña. All yours, boss.
Maestro Luis, buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
And like they say in our Nahua language, Tlazokamati.
That's my brother, of course.
You know, I reached out to you as I was reading the book and you know, expressed, you know, that there was a lot of similarities, and it kind of took me back. And I was interested in your mentor, Chente Ramirez from White Fins.
Yeah.
And you know, I know I'm still connected in the neighborhood and in terms of, you know, with Bobby Murillo, Jerry Deyo.
Of course,
you know,
good
I'm
brothers.
still connected with a lot of these elders. And I asked Bobby Murillo, do you know who Chente Ramirez is? He's like, no. I said, because I try to Google and I don't find anything. So
yeah,
I wanted to ask you.
I'll tell you the story. Chente Ramirez is a made-up name. He's a composite of 2 mentors. And I don't want to use the real names because they have asked for me not to do that. But I would say one guy was actually from White Fence, and another guy was from Cuatro Flats over in the Pico Gardens housing projects.
Yeah.
But they weren't barrio. Well, the guy from White Fence who was a mentor was a former barrio heroin addict who changed his whole life and became a very good, strong teacher. He was really one of those that brought me into the social movement. The other dude grew up in the housing projects, but never got into gangs. You can imagine, you know, it's a young man not joining gangs, but he became very good about martial arts, sports, you know what I'm saying? At Chicano, that was really good. So I combined them both because what they both did to me was they didn't try to save me. They gave me tools, resources, connections, anything I needed to save myself, which is the only way it would work. Nobody could save me. You know, people try to say, hey, well, I'm going to help this guy. He's a heroin addict. I was homeless for 3 years, in and out of jail, juvenile hall. He wasn't going to school. We got to save him. Nobody could save me. You know what I'm saying? But what they did that I thought was very wise, and a lot of people don't know it, they weren't trying to save me. They were just trying to expand my imagination, expand my awareness, try to give me tools. I'll give you an example. I was fighting all the time. I love fighting, man. You know, you fight all the time. But I didn't know what to do. I just street fought. You know, I mean, you just do it in the street. They got me into amateur boxing and martial arts. What they wanted me to do was master what I was doing. You want to fight? Why don't you be good at it? You know what I'm saying? Don't just be fighting a bunch like a, you know, pendejo or whatever. You know, just be out there like a cagapalo, as we used to say. You know, but it was more like, we'll do it. Why? But that helped me. That gave me self-discipline. You know what I mean? It gave me the idea that I haven't really had a drag-out fight since I learned martial arts and amateur boxing. You know what I'm saying? I can fight pretty good, but I just don't need to do that. And it disciplined me. I'll give you another example. And I know people have issues with guns, and I get all that. I don't have any guns, by the way. I got rid of them. Me and guns don't have a good relationship. My son, who went to prison and was in a gang in Chicago, we don't have guns. But at the time, I had a lot of guns. What one of those guys did is take me to the mountains to learn how to shoot. Now, people might say it's counterintuitive, but he taught me to respect the gun. You know what I'm saying? We were a bunch of fool guys doing drive-bys. Didn't know what we were doing. We didn't hit most things we shot at, but we didn't hit people. And it was like just a bunch of, guys with a bunch of guns and we didn't know nothing. The more I mastered something, the more I respected it, the more I didn't use it. You know what I'm saying? The same with art. One of those guys got me painting murals. I was doing big graffiti. He could have said, hey, that's great, or don't do it, or whatever. But he said, why don't you learn to paint murals? He took that initial impulse of just graffiti, which wasn't tagging. It was pretty intricate stuff, or cholo writing and everything. But he got me into painting murals. You see what I'm saying? And same with writing. I was writing a bunch of scribbles, a bunch of nonsense. Eventually, I convinced myself through their teachings, I'm going to learn how to write. You know what I'm saying? So really, it's a mastery of life and a mastery of skills that makes you be able to respect these things. And that's what I think they taught me more than anything. I could save myself if I knew what I was capable of doing.
That's just for sharing that and clarifying the Chente Ramirez,
I even lived in White Fence for a while because one of the homies one of the go dudes, one of the mentors got me living there to get away from my neighborhood. So I was living in the gully. If you know anything about White Fence, is the Bernal Street, the gully, man, right there. I was living right there. That's where his family was from.
Gracias, La Socomati.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And I love the way you said that. I mean, that can reach out to so many people. You can read 1 million books, you can go to church, you can do this, do that, but until you decide yourself that you're ready to change, you're not going to change. So
yeah, I got out of heroin. And just one quick thing, I got out of heroin after 7 years. I was sitting in the county jail. I had to make that decision. My mentors weren't there. But they taught me something about drugs, what it does to a community. I loved heroin. I don't mind telling people. I loved escaping. I loved the no pain. I love all this shit. But man, I realized that, man, they're right. It's destroying our communities. Once you got that monkey on your back, you're no good to nobody. And I decided on my own to get out of heroin, on my own with some guys that helped me cold turkey, you know what I'm saying? But their teachings was what helping me make these decisions. And that's why it's important to have mentors that can guide our young people.
Absolutely. So next question is coming from Mr. Daniel Preciado.
Hi. Thank you for giving us your insights. And my question has to deal with things recently in the media about banning books. And so I was wondering, has your book Always Running been banned? And if so, where has it been banned? And have you ever been given an explanation why it was banned, or has anyone invited you to sort of clarify their misconceptions or their beliefs about the book?
Yeah, so when the book came out, right away it got banned. It became a battle in some cities, particularly in California, in San Jose, Santa Rosa. These communities were banning my book. In Illinois, where I lived at the time, in Chicago, they were banning it there, Rockford, a few other cities. I heard there was bannings in Texas. I don't know the particulars of it. I didn't actually go to Texas to deal with it. In Michigan, they banned the book. I was getting all these news about where it was being banned. And I took them on. In other words, I was willing to take on the school boards and everybody that was trying to ban the book just to explain what my book was about. My attitude wasn't that I'm going to force anybody to read my book. Some people shouldn't read it. You know what I mean? It's a hardcore book, man. I get it. Some parents don't want their kids to read my book. I agree with them. Said, you know what, if parents don't want to read my book, that's fine. But I didn't think that it should be banned and not accessible for those who wanted to read it. You know what I mean? And that was my whole struggle. So I wrote editorial San Jose Mercury because there was a big battle there. And I went to speak in the school boards of in Michigan and in Illinois against the people that try to ban it. There was actually a website created to ban Always Running. The website's gone. I don't know why when it came and went. They put a website with all kinds of stuff talking about banning it. It became one of the 100 most banned books in the country. So I don't know what the status of it is now. I'm not sure if it's still 100. I don't hear too much about banning anymore. But you know what happens is people just don't order the books. They don't really ban it so much, they just don't order it. So the people that use the books are generally teachers that see the value with these kids. In LA and California, it's not only one of the most checked out books in libraries, is one of the most stolen. So people know that people want to read the book. So it's used in a lot of schools where people know it could be used. But I'm sure there's hundreds and hundreds of schools that don't even bother having the book. You know how that goes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's see here. Next, we have Miss Lydia Garza.
Hi, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us,
Thank you.
Mr. Rodriguez. I have a question. It was regarding your son, Ramiro.
Mhm.
Ramiro, you had brought him up earlier, and then you had dedicated this book to him in your
Mhm.
epilogue. And I just wanted to know how he's doing,
Yeah, that's really good.
how that relationship went.
You know, I have a second memoir that is not as popular, but I really recommend people read it. The title is It Calls You Back. And one of the things, the madness will call you back. La Vida Loca. I let it go, but as growing up, the madness would call me back, and would call me back to alcoholism. I let go of the drugs and became an alcoholic. It called me back to rage. I would be in good shape, and all of a sudden I'd be triggered. I'd be raging. I had post-traumatic stress disorder and didn't know it. But the one way that it called me back was it took my son. So my son saved my life, and this I will say happened. When he was born, I was 20 years old. I made a promise to myself I would never go back to heroin, never go back to jails. And I kept that promise for him and my daughter, who came 2 years later. And then I had two other sons. But he was the catalyst for me to say, I'm done. I want to be a good father. But as you know, when that happens in our barrios, we get very lost in our way. My first wife, we didn't work out. 3.5 years later, we broke up. She went off in one direction, I went another. I lost track of my kids, believe it or not. They feel I abandoned them. I don't question that. I believe it's probably true. I didn't really mean to abandon them. I barely saw them. When I moved to Chicago, I would have them come every summer, but I was not really there. And it's my fault. I paid a big price for that. So at 13 years old, my son ended up coming to stay with me because he got into a lot of trouble in East LA. And he came to Chicago, and he was pissed off and angry. You know how it is. You're not my dad. You didn't raise me, all these kind of things, and had a hard time. And 2 years later, he joined the gang. That's the story. That's what Always Running was about. I wanted to help influence him. If you read It Calls You Back, you'll find out that he got deeper in the gang. I helped a lot of his homies. I helped a lot of the gang kids in Chicago. I did a Crease to Peace network. I did a youth struggling for survival group, which we had 200 kids and parents and mentors. But I had a hard time with my own son. So by the time he was 17, he started his first prison term. So he did about 1.5 years, and I thought he was done. But at 21, he got involved with some shootings that were very devastating. The one guy was shot and almost didn't make it. He survived, but he shot at 2 police officers, which you might know is a serious offense. So they were going to give him 40 years to life. And my struggle was I wasn't going to keep him from prison, but I didn't want him to throw him away. So we got 28 years for him, finally. After 1.5 years of fighting, we got people like they did with me, go to court, write letters, and gave him 28 years. And luckily, at the time, he could do half the time with good time. Now you got to do 85 to 100% of your time. He, on his own, again, he made it his own. He decided to get his life together, to quit gangs while he was in prison, to quit Pruno and drugs. 7 years into his sentence, he gave up everything, and he started doing good in the prison, started getting his life together. He got attacked for it. He got, but he said, don't worry. I was worried for him. I said, don't worry, Dad, I'll be fine. He didn't want to go on PC, protective custody. He stayed in the main yard, and it worked out fine for him. He says, I'll take on what I have to take on, but I'm done. I'm done with this world. And He came out of prison in 2010, and he's been out since then. He now lives with me with my other two sons. I will tell you right now, he's a really beautiful, wonderful 46-year-old man, grandfather himself, who's become a positive influence in our community. He works with former incarcerated. He goes to juvenile halls. He works with the youth here, helps mentor. He does danza, Mexica danza. And he's really an amazing young man. 46 years old, but he's doing really good. And I want you to know that he really did it on his own. I influenced him. A lot of people helped him, but he made those decisions himself, which is the right way to go.
That's awesome. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
All right. So next up we have Miss Judith Casillas Peasley.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm still seeing Robert, so it's going to be talking to you, but looking at Robert.
Okay.
But I estás. No, I want to say that your book, of all the books we've read, had the corazón de nuestra gente. I kept thinking this book has corazón, and it does. And I can see the talent that you had to use or draw upon to put it into that book. So I'm very grateful for that book existing.
Thank you.
Anyway,
Wow.
my question is, real quick, I was a juvenile probation officer in a city in northern Colorado back in the 70s. And of course, I was an affirmative action employee, and I was assigned to all the little Chicanos, in the area. And I decided to go live in the barrio instead of, buying a big fancy house and whatever. And I learned more from those. Most of them were boys. There were a few girls. I learned more from them than I've learned from anybody in my life except my mom. And your book took me back to that time, and I was only there 4.5 years, and then I went to law school. And of course, then went back to my pueblo and did, like the Chicano supposed to do, and did about 10 years there. And then I moved to Montana to escape everything, because it was just, my heart just couldn't take all that anymore. But anyway, my question for you is one de escritor. What relationship, if any, do you have with the actual persons that inspired your characters today? Any relationship today that you have with them?
As you know, many of them passed. They died when I was 18. I mentioned four of my best friends were killed. It's hard to have best friends. I kept having a hard time with that. But I did go back 20 years after Always Winning. Well, 20 years after I left the neighborhood, when Always Winning came out, some of my homies called me to come back to the neighborhood. And as you know, I love talking to kids in barrios. I love talking to kids, whether in gangs or not. I love going to these schools. And I also go to juvenile halls and prisons and jails. For over 40 years, I've been doing it. So I had just left my neighborhood and didn't come back. There was so much, as you know, from reading the book. A couple of homies tried to shoot at me, which wasn't anything to do with the gang. Turns out that one of them was a police informant, and he was trying to kill me because I was trying to bring peace between the two main barrios that were battling out there. I didn't know this till later. I didn't understand why they were shooting at me. A lot of homies got confused, and some people didn't want anything to do with me, but some people were okay. I got ostracized from the neighborhood, but when the book came out, people started reaching out. And they were saying, you know what, we need help. All our kids are joining the barrio. You know what I mean? All our kids are joining the gang. So I came back to talk to the kids, came back to talk to the schools. I even went to that rival neighborhood, which is still a war today, but I even went to their kids. I even talked to their kids. And it would turn out to be beautiful. So I found some of the older homies that were the ones that survived. I ended up hooking up with guys that did 20 some years in prison, 20, 30 years at heroin addicts who are now clean. Because I told them I won't get together with anybody that's not already on a recovery path, because I know the ones that are still using and still active in the gang, they want to pull you in. You know what I'm saying? They try to find a way to get you in there, and I can't do that. But I hooked up with some of the older people in the gang, my age, that now about maybe 10 or 11 of them, we've got together. I even invited one of our enemies, so-called enemies, that is now the leading tattoo artist in the country. I helped him write a book called Smile Now, Cry Later, Freddie Negrete. I recommend you reading that book. We were shooting at each other in the gangs. He became the artist of his body, I became the artist of my body, but we were enemies. But a few years ago, his son got killed by my younger guys from my gang. And then his second son died of a heroin overdose. So you can imagine, he lost 2 sons. So I got together with him, we became good friends. I invited him to meet with these guys from Lomas, and we all knew each other. So I am bringing together some of the older guys. I don't mind talking to younger guys, again, only if they're open for recovery, for change. The barrios, the world, as you know, is got a lot of landmines. You have to know how to navigate that. I try to be very careful so that I don't get pulled back in some level, some form. People know that I'm clean and sober, that I don't do any crimes. I don't get involved with anything. I don't want to know even the politics. You know, it's not my world. I don't want to get in on it. But I'm fortunate that now I've been able to get together. We did a book called From Trouble to Triumph, of 6 homies, their stories. You should try to look it up. You can go to Tia Chucha's bookstore, tiachucha.org/bookstore. Look up For Trouble to Triumph. I recommend you read that book. It's 6 of their stories, including that dude from my enemy gang, so-called enemy gang. So it's 5 guys from Lomas, my neighborhood, and 1 guy from Sangra. It's a beautiful book, has pictures, tells the story of the barrio when I was growing up, as well as what they went through as older men, now their grandfathers, and but it's a good book to read.
Thank you so much, y for everything.
Thank
Que
you.
le vaya bien.
Igualmente.
All right. Are you doing okay on time, boss?
Yeah, but no, man, I feel so bad that I'll stay as long as you all need me, man, because I'm good. I'm good.
Cool. We do have a few more questions, and I'm not sure if you were able to pull together a couple poems, or you want to, whatever.
Yeah. I always got poems to put together.
I like it. Okay, well, let's go. We have Miss, and I love this question too. I'm really curious about your answers. So Miss Isabel Velasquez.
Hi there. It's great to just hear your stories and hear your experience. I grew up in East LA as well, in Ramona Gardens and Whiteside and El Sereno. So I'm very familiar with the territory that you describe in your book. And my son's father grew up in Rosemead, San Gabriel, and he ended up in prison. So my son grew up without a dad. So it's the stories just seem to be, generational, unfortunately. We've since moved out, and we're in Orange County now. But it's just fascinating to hear your experiences and how similar they are to, the rest of us. And but my question is a little bit off of your personal experience, and I'm just curious to know a little bit more about you and who are some contemporary authors that you read and that you enjoy.
Oh man, I love so many people. I read like 10 books at a time. I'm good friends with Sandra Cisneros, as you probably know. I'm good friends with the Puerto Rican poet Martin Espada, Gary Soto, all the different writers, Denise Chavez, Ana Castillo. I'm good friends with all of them. They've really been helpful for me. But there's a number of up-and-coming writers, that I think are really good. Javier Zamora, he's got a book, Undocumented poetry book. He's Salvadorian, but he talks about that struggle to get across the border and what it means. There's Erica Sanchez, who's had a book that's getting well known. There's other people that are out there now. I just did an introduction to a great poetry book by somebody from the San Gabriel Valley, Diana Marie Delgado. It's called Tracing the Horse. You should get it. Beautiful book. I did the introduction to it. It's amazing poetry. And she comes from my part of the world. She knows the Valle, as we call it. It's San Gabriel Valley. And people don't know, if you don't know, San Gabriel Valley had 100 Mexican migrant communities and had a lot of gang body warfare because those migrant communities became the barrios that eventually went to war with each other. But we were surrounded for the longest time by white suburbs who were, for the most part, and I have to be honest, racist. They had the power, they controlled the land, they had sidewalks, strip malls, we had dirt roads, like everybody all over, dirt roads, chickens and goats in people's backyards, shacks, and, it looked like any place else. And that's the world that I grew up in. So the San Gabriel Valley neighborhoods were some of the rough and tumble ones. And of course, it's right next, where San Gabriel Valley is where East LA is. So we're in the greater East LA area. So I knew all the Barrio Ramona Gardens. I knew all the barrios. I ended up living in Boyle Heights, living in, City Terrace, living all over East LA. And so I'm aware and very much active in helping these young people. But I totally understand what you were saying. It's a rough world. When I moved to Chicago, I just jumped from the frying pan to the fire. You know what I mean? Chicago's got a rough areas. People don't know because they usually hear about the Black community, but the Mexican and Puerto Rican community is very large, and they've got a lot of issues too, a lot of violence. The two big barrios in Pilsen and Little Village, two big Mexican neighborhoods, got a lot of gang violence, and I was working with them. Mostly there, it's Latin Kings, 2-6 Nation, other gangs that Chicago has. And so my son got involved in some of the Chicago gangs, so I'm very familiar with that as well. But I just think it's worth our participation to help our young people. It is multi-generational sometimes. I now have, this is sad, but I don't mind talking about it. After me and my son, we did jail. My son get almost 15 years in prison. I now have a granddaughter that's a crystal meth and fentanyl for 6 years. We got her recovery. She got clean and she went back in the street. She's now in the streets, is missing in action. We don't know where she's at. I got a warrant on her. She's been in and out of jails. You know what I'm saying? She's 27 years old, man. So it breaks her heart that both me and my son find it really hard to work with her, open the door for her. We have a lot of resources, unlike a lot of people. And she's refusing that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I still have hope for her. I still pray for her. I still would do anything I can for her. But it is heartbreaking to see another generation pick up some of that street life. And so I do think we have to do all we can to help our kids create better neighborhoods, create better communities, not love. I mean, I don't like the punishment. I don't like throwing people away. I don't like all that nonsense. It's more of, man, love. We got to love our kids, treat our kids well, teach them respect, show them respect. You know what I mean? And I think that's where I'm at too for all our kids.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. All those names are familiar too, the Espada, Soto, Chavez, Castillo. And
Yeah.
we read Erica Sanchez, her I'm Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter. That was another popular one here in this group. Your book is probably our, off the top of my head, maybe like 13th to 14th book.
Oh, wow.
It's been about 14 months now. Mm-hmm. And I was just waiting till we got a hold of it, and we did.
Yeah.
So I have one more from Miss Cynthia Villanueva, and then maybe we can hear a poem or two. That'd be awesome.
Sure. Yeah.
Hi. I have my question. It might be a little bit of a stretch, but here we go. I was wondering if you had any pictures of the murals that you helped create in your youth, or any pictures of any recent artwork. But in particular, that chapter when you're talking about the murals and working on those with a group of the young people and how are you looking? I was just curious to see if there was a picture somewhere.
Yeah, I took pictures of all of them. They all got whitewashed. They all got taken down. It's really bad, really weird how that happened. But I got pictures of all of them. Some of them I've showed up in some book covers, and I've also in that book From Trouble to Triumph, there's pictures of the old radio, including I think one of my murals. So they're available. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I hope someday to get them published in some fashion, so that people can see the work that was done. Mural painting was really big around East LA and also other neighborhoods. Chicago had a big mural scene, other neighborhoods. But it can save people's lives. You know what I mean? You give them tools and skills and teachers, and you give them a purpose, and it really helped. I didn't become a muralist, but it didn't matter. Writing to me was painting with words. I loved the idea of painting. And so I still paint, only now I do it with words, But I definitely have them. I don't know how I can share them with you all. If I can, we'll try to find a way so you guys can see some of those murals. I have to tell you, I was the artist of my neighborhood, and Freddie Negrete was the artist of our enemy neighborhood, but he really was the artist. That guy was so amazing. I was kind of like, I didn't know what I was doing. I did things. It's okay. Man, that guy was so good. So I have to be honest. It really wasn't where my skills were at, you know.
Oh, that's okay. Well, I mean, we would look forward to it, and we would appreciate it, even if, like you said, even if you get the opportunity to publish them. I would hope so. I would love to see them.
Thank you.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you for that. Well, let's just jump into a poem. That'd be great. The floor is yours, sir.
Yeah. So I have my most famous poetry book is The Concrete River. I've sold thousands of copies of this book, and it helped lay the groundwork for Always Running, I think. But a lot of people don't know my poetry as much as they know about Always Running. But I'm going to read one poem called Night Dancing. And I grew up in Watts in the first few years of my schooling. I was 8 years old when we moved out to San Gabriel Valley, but in my early 20s, I moved back to Watts. So my oldest kids were born in the south side of LA. So I have south side, east side connections there. So this one's called Night Dancing Watts, 1975 to 78, when I moved back there. And it goes like this. Nothing in Watts whispers. Every open window is a shout, a night dance to a driving pulse that crashes through the broken walls of a Jordan down second floor flat. Conga sounds and synthesizers compete against the drunken laughter and angry talk of young Crips whose world is bigger than this place, but never as important. Here, innocence and terror are woven into the summer breeze as the cries of the hood deliver sacrifices of sound and flesh, and as the mother's milk flows and the heat hangs on you like a wet blanket. All begins to blend, come apart. All is loving, destroying, while homegirls dance a jig to a repertoire of police sirens.
Ooh, man, that's a good one. That gave me the chill. The Crips whose world was bigger but never as important. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That's my background a little bit. You know, I started doing spoken word poetry a little bit after reading your book, and actually I saw that picture of you and the youth poet who did the inauguration.
Oh yeah, Amanda Gorman. Yeah, we worked together. She was a LA Youth Poet Laureate, and I was the city's poet laureate. It's really amazing how big she got, and she deserves it. Beautiful, amazing young person.
Absolutely. What kind of work have you guys done together?
Well, we actually did a lot of readings together, and then she interviewed me for Huntington Post. It was a Huntington Post article that she interviewed me. It's really one of the best articles. Since she became big and famous, I haven't been in touch with her, but she's out there and she deserves all that she can get. And I think for a young lady, she's got the character to hold it, because, you know, sometimes you get known really big, famous, she's got great character, and I think she's going to be good.
Awesome. Yeah, I look forward to hearing more from her and following her throughout her career.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you have another one, by all means.
Yeah, and I'm reading ones that I don't usually read because it's just an opportunity here. So I'm going to read one called Don't Read That Poem. And if you go to YouTube and you look up my name, there's a whole mess of music that was done to my poetry. And it comes from this album called My Name's Not Rodriguez. And if you look it up, there's different poems. There's 10 poems with original music, more vario style, more like Easter, soul, Chicano soul kind of thing. And one of the poems in there is called Don't Read That Poem. And they made a beautiful music, kind of a jazzy thing. I recommend you look it up. Just if you can, just look up anything to do with that album. My Name's Not Rodriguez. But I'm going to read you the poem. And this comes from when I was in Chicago. I would go to all the clubs and all the bars and all the cafes just to see poetry was happening every night, 2 or 3 events a night. And most of the time you're there, you see a lot of poets. Most of them aren't really that good. I don't want to knock anybody down, but they weren't that hot. But every once in a while, somebody comes up and blows you away. You know what I'm saying? Wakes you up. So this is a poem for somebody that did that. And she became my good friend. We ended up publishing Tia Chucha Press, her first book. And she's famous now. You should know who she is, obviously, Patricia Smith. She became the international slam champion of the world, the Chicago slam champion, the national slam champion. And she just was given the Ruth Lilly Poetry Prize, $100,000 for life achievement. So she's really something. So when I first heard her, though, her and people like her made me want to be a poet. So this is called Don't Read That Poem. She rises from a chair and slides towards the stage with satin feet over a worn wood floor. She bears down on the microphone like a blues singer about to reveal some secrets. A fever of poems in her hand. She seizes the mic and begins her seduction. I'm in the back of the bar, my head down, the things she does to me with words. I want to leave. I want her never to begin. She starts with a poem about daddy love, and I feel like getting up right there and yelling, don't read that poem. The one that causes little bursts of screams inside my head that makes tears come to my eyes that I refuse to let fall. Don't read that poem, the one about a daughter raped and killed in the shadow of the second's dark fury. I want to hide in the neon glare above me, to swim away in the glass of beer I hold close to me. She does another poem about her many mouths, and I want to howl, don't read that poem, the one that entices me to crawl under her skin to be her heartbeat. Oh, how she plucks the right notes, rendering me as clay and bruised hands. No, don't do the one about what it is to be a 9-year-old Black girl, the truth of it trembling at my feet. Somebody should make her stop. I should be home, watching TV, blank-eyed behind stale headlines, cold popcorn on the couch, a dusty turntable going round and round and round. I should be fixing a car, shooting a ball, but I can't leave. I need to taste the salt of her soliloquy, to be drunk with the sobriety of her verse, quaking beneath my eyelids.
Whew, that was powerful.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you could see it, you could feel it. I don't know how many of you guys have been to like a open mic or, and yeah, some you'll have people up there just kind of spitting their emotions, or and it's not that great, but it's just emotions. And then, like you said, someone just comes and they speak to you, right?
Yeah.
Which is what your poem just did to us.
Good, that's right.
And then I think I saw you you posted something about Patricia Smith not too long ago, right?
Yeah,
That
because she won
that
this
award.
big award, and the Achucha Press started maybe over 30 years ago, and we started publishing all the big Chicago slam poets, and we included Chicanos, but we weren't limited to anybody. I published everybody. Turns out our African American poets have become more well known from us. Terrence Hayes, we did his first book. We got Elizabeth Alexander. We did one of her early books. We're more known for the African American poets, and it wasn't by, we didn't make it that way, but that's just the way it was. But I published everybody, Filipinos, Native Americans, Irish, Italian Americans. I just love poetry. I don't care who writes, as long as it's good, we publish it. So just so you know, this year we did a book of a Quiché Guatemalan poet, Humberto Acabar. It's called In the Courtyard of the Moon. Go to tiachucha.org/bookstore and look up his name so you guys can get his book, In the Courtyard of the Moon, a Quiché Guatemalan Mayan poet. We're trying to do work that other people won't do. And that's what I love about the Achucha Press.
So since that was a perfect segue, because I didn't mention it in the intro about you, but the Achucha's Press, can you tell us a little bit how it started and what you guys are currently working on?
Yeah, so we're known. Yeah, it's one of the most well-known small presses in the country. And we've been at it for over 30 years. I've had the same designer for all my books for over 30 years. She's a Menominee, French, German young woman who's been working with me all these years. So it's the same age as me. I guess she's not that young. But anyway, I started the imprint to publish my book, my first book, Poems Across the Pavement. But it got so much notoriety that everybody came to me, can you publish my book? And it's pretty soon I was publishing other people. I haven't really done any more of my books with them. I go to other publishers. But we've done maybe 100, 120 books now. We only do 1 or 2 books a year, but we give a lot of attention to them. And again, it's open to any great writers, any great people. The book that's coming out in November is by this Dr. Edward Tick, who works with war veterans, especially Vietnam War veterans. And he's gone to Vietnam himself. And now he's got a book of poetry called Coming Home in Vietnam, what he learned from being with the people there, people who our country really hurt, did a lot of damage, but they themselves are powerfully beautiful, healing people. They're embracing, they're not, you think they're pissed off and angry. He learned how beautiful they could be. So I love those kind of works. They're different. The Literature Press tries to be different, but it's all quality literary work. People put a lot of great work there. So look us up again. We have a bookstore and a culture center and a press. So anybody that wants to get our books, you can get them through tiachucha.org/bookstore. Any books are there. But we also, if ever you come out here and you're in the San Fernando Valley, where now I'm in the other valley of LA, we're there, and we have a bookstore, we have performance space, we have a culture center, we have workshops, we have an art gallery, we have quite a beautiful space there.
Awesome. I love that you're giving back. You're giving people the opportunity that may not otherwise have the opportunity. This is like personal question, but like an MFA, is that something that you guys look for? Someone that really, or do you, as long as they have
not necessarily. I mean, I've had good friends in MFA programs that send me great manuscripts. So I'm open to anybody, but many are manuscripts are people who just do poetry and spend a lot of time studying it. Like I said, be a master at it, and deserve to be published. And a lot of publishers meant to be interested in them. So we would be the ones to open that door. So we're open to anybody, and we don't demand or expect that they get any MFAs or nothing. We're just looking, to me, what is the power of the language, the word, the imagery, the ideas, the emotion, the emotional value of some of their stories and words. So that's what I'm looking for. Great poetry. And anybody's welcome to send manuscripts as well. I'm interested in all new manuscripts. So there's a way that in the link, there's also a Tiachucha Press link that shows you how to send manuscripts to Tiachucha Press.
Awesome. Would it be a stretch to ask for another poem?
No, not at all. So let me maybe trying to get one.
So I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
Well, I'm gonna do a short one. It's a ode to LA, City of Angels is what it's called. And there's a side story with this. I've been all over the world, traveling. Poetry and literature has opened the world to me. I never thought in Nevada I'd see anything besides my own neighborhood, but I've been all over Europe, over Mexico, Central America, South America, the Caribbean. I've been to Japan. I've been to amazing places. And one time in the 90s, I got to go to the largest hip hop gathering in the world in Rome. I had people from all over the US, but also from all over Europe, from Latin America, from Asia, from Africa. I met some amazing breakdancers, and it was a combination of all the breakdancing, graffiti, MCing, DJing, the whole thing. And man, it was beautiful. And I brought along Common, who at the time was Chicago's best known rapper, but nobody in the world knew him. He came with me. He came with us. And now he's big. I haven't talked to him since he became a big star. Nothing against him. I'll power to him. But anyway, this poem, we were able to do graffiti. I mean, writing, really good writing on the walls. So there was a guy from East LA who's well known named Fabian Devora. He's famous all over here, but he started off as Spade, one of these graffiti artists. And he came down there as Spade, and he was a young man. And we did a big mural with this poem written on it. And he did a big, amazing angel with, wings and everything. So I'm going to read you the poem. And City of Angels. Somewhere out there lies the city, bare-breasted, awaiting my return. The city of abandoned nights, of 6-year-olds falling through rusted fire escapes, of welfare hotels and facades of diseased stone. The city of grit, wood, and bone. I step out of a foul-smelling Greyhound bus into the mouth of a moistened dawn, spraying its colors on cardboard condos on the sidewalk. Here I stroll among the walking dead, among the criminalized and displaced, the sun of the desert, our only roof, the song of our whales, the whales of our song, thundering against the sides of this city of angels, so far removed from heaven. and that's really about Skid Row. I spent some time there, and even did some poetry events with Skid Row homeless people. So that's my ode to Skid Row.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I wasn't expecting to get as much as what we got.
No, man.
But I'm sure there's a ton of other questions. We can talk for hours. But I guess my final, to close it up, I just want to know what your plans are for the future. You know, where's Luis Rodriguez in 5 years from now?
It's hard to say. And you know, the thing is, I'm in I'm 67 years old. I have great grandkids, as you point out. My family's growing. But I've decided I'm not going to retire. I'm going to refire. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. So believe it or not, I'm working on 4 different books at once. I know it's just kind of maddening. Hopefully I'll get them done. That's just the way I roll, man. I just love to be creative. I'm working on these books. The pandemic got me to stay home, got me to not want to be out there so much. And I got my beautiful home here with a little compound with my three sons and my wife and my dog. And one of my sons has a girlfriend here. So we're just happy. We're all clean and sober. And so I'm just going to write. The 4 books include a poetry book, a book of essays, a short story collection, and a book on writing. I was working in prisons and juvenile halls and jails for 40 years. So I'm trying to do a book on that work, the way that I teach, the writing that I teach. So we'll see what happens. I'm just going to do the books and hopefully somebody likes them. Nobody wants to publish them. But in the meantime, I just want to do creative things. And I'm also trying to develop a podcast that me and my wife have, the Hummingbird Cricket Hour. You can look it up, search for it. Hummingbird Cricket Hour should be pop up. And then also I'm trying to maybe consider a YouTube channel just to speak on the issues that I think are important. Who knows? I mean, there's so many good things happening. So yeah.
Fantastic.
Adelante.
Yes. And you know, that's great. I hope that you live a very long and healthy life, you and all your family, and we get to hear and read much more of your work for many years to come.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you all for being patient. And I really, really honor you all for being here and hanging in.
Absolutely. Thank you again for your time. And everybody, if you guys want to unmute yourselves and say thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Great.
wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good.
All right.
This is great. Well, I appreciate it. I'll see you all. Be well. Be safe.
Okay, you too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. We'll talk soon.